Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Um, so we're here with Professor Shailesh. He and I have worked very hard, and majority him. I was the PPT guy to put this thing together for you. We have done this now, a version of this, and we keep evolving it with every audience to make it better and more informative. We've done this now more than a dozen times, and it's always been really appreciated. So we thought this is the perfect room to take it to its next level. So hope you enjoy. Please, if you have any questions, some ground rules, raise your hands. We have a couple of floating mics who will find you. If you I'll keep a lookout. If you have any specific thoughts on the matter, if you are, please feel free to share anything that you're doing which relates to what we will be speaking about. A lot of it would be around AI strategy. So we look forward to an engaging session. Over to you, Professor.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Network Science, for inviting me, and thank you all for coming. So let me see if this works. All right. So, my name is Shailesh. I worked with the field of AI for the last 20 years. I started looking at AI when I was a undergrad student, and I realized that this is going to be the future of technology. And, the reason was, in a way, my first introduction to AI was this thought that the brain is asking how the brain works. And that was a very deep thing that somebody told me, and I realized that, well, this is very recursive, and this is really going to be the future. So I got into the right job at the right lane in the right time, and for the last 20 years, I have seen AI growing. That ad that we just saw is really true. This is how it evolved. And, I grew with it. Many companies and industries are growing with it, and we are still learning how this field is evolving. And most importantly, we are at a very interesting cusp now, where we know that this is going to change our industries, our society, our governments, our civilization. We know that it is going to do it, but how will it do it is still a question. And and that is what we are grappling with, right? So we know that there is an answer out there, but what is the way to adopt? How do I AIfy my company, my society, my country? This AIfication journey is what everybody is struggling with, right? So, and that is what I want to talk about really. And hopefully we'll cover many, many different kinds of topics today. So hopefully you had your coffee and everything. So I call this from data rich to AI first. So think about it. Over the last 20 years, we have become a very data rich company, right? Or a country or a civilization. We are a very data rich civilization. The internet is there. Each bank has so much data for the last so many years. Each manufacturing industry, every industry is full of data now. And now there's transitioning from being data rich to AI first. And what does that mean? How do we make that transition systematically? Is there a blueprint for that? And that's what my role is at Reliance, to come up with that blueprint, because I'm not working with one industry, I'm working with 7 industries together. And I'm trying to figure out, is there a common principle? Is there a common way to think about AIfication of refineries, of media, of healthcare, of telecom and agriculture, all the verticals? Is there a common theme that is emerging? And that's what we want to share today. Whatever we discuss is very vertical agnostic, industry agnostic, and these principles can apply at a startup level, at a large company level, at a country level, and we're talking about the same principles in the Prime Minister's office and in the startup world, right? So hopefully some new insights will come. So, is this not connected? Okay. So we are at a very interesting time. If you think about where we are in the human civilization, right? We have created amazing technologies, right? The internet came, IoT devices came, physical devices came, telecom came, blockchain came, 3D printing came, AR, VR is here. So we are surrounded by amazing technologies. And if you look at any product that we use today, whether it's a Google Maps or a Ola Cab or a Swiggy, Zomato, all these technologies are coming together, right? They're all coming together to create a product. And that is where we are. We have all the ingredients in terms of technology, and we can create amazing services, platforms, and products if we can innovate on top of that. And this deep tech conglomerate of technologies, and whoever can find the best combination of it, right? How do you use blockchain with devices, with AI, with cloud, is going to create amazing product. And that's what is very exciting about the times we are in. But if you look at all these technologies, except for one, all others are software technologies. So if you think about blockchain or 5G or devices or TCP/IP, internet or cloud, they're all software. There's only one technology which stands out, which is, I think we need to do it that way, which is sort of the AI technology, right? Why is it working? Yeah. So the idea is, obviously, AI is not software, right? It is a meta software. We are all born with the hardware and the operating system called the brain and the mind. And based on the data that we saw, we became a different person, right? Similarly, if you look at how AI works, it is not something that you program and say, now I have programmed AI and it's going to work like any other system. AI works very differently. It learns with data and it becomes better, right? And Sundar Pichai made a very important statement which said, AI is one of the most profound technologies that we have invented. And, if you think about it, it'll take us several years to figure out what he's trying to say, right? And this idea is revealing, this he said before ChatGPT, and now suddenly we are realizing that. So the idea is, until AI has touched every startup, every company, every citizen in the world, right? If our farmers are benefiting, our teachers are benefiting, our students are benefiting, our patients are benefiting, our guys on the street delivering, goods are benefiting. If everyone in the society is benefiting from it, that is when we have truly arrived. And what we have done in the last 20 years with AI, we have solved some amazing point solutions. We have built a great search engine. We have built great recommendation engines in terms of Amazon and Netflix. We have done a lot of supply chain problems. We have solved marketing and sales issues. So what we have done in the last 20 years is mastered the art of applying AI to specific use cases in specific industries. That's what we have mastered, and we have done it at a planet scale level. And we have figured out how to do this. And now we are ready to do the next phase of AI. The next phase of AI is not just commercial. It is going to be social impact. And now if you look at India AI strategy paper, and a lot of thrust, especially in India, is about use of AI in social sectors, right? How do we transform education, healthcare, agriculture, and sustainability, pollution problems, all that with AI, right? So that's one big thrust. And obviously, these are not going to be easy problems, and we are going to have to think about AI very differently, right? So the next hour and a half, we'll talk about how to think about AI from first principles, how to think about these complex systems, and how to think about AIification of these complex systems. Yeah? All right, so the first thing we'll do is we'll talk about this idea of, what is intelligence? So let me pose that question. Any intelligent answers?
So I'm going to start picking people at random if you don't raise your hand or just shout out the answer.
So
okay.
We are all intelligent. We know what is intelligence in some sense, right? And to me, AI is one of the easiest subjects because it's about ourselves. We are learning about ourselves, really, right? So now tell me, what is intelligence?
Intelligence is something solving problems or complex issues.
Very nice, right? Correct. Solving problems, comprehend, okay. Yes, making decisions from data, very nice.
Analyze information and prioritize according to the data sets.
Correct. Analyze information and prioritize. We are going to see some of these in action today. Very good. What else?
Ability to distinguish, between various systems onto that, or ability to understand and connecting the dots of it. That's the intelligence is there.
Beautiful, right? How do we connect the dots? Very nice.
Capability of putting together the EQ and IQ in terms of getting the best possible output possible out of the scenario.
Very nice. So that you are reaching now at a human level, EQ and IQ together, right? We are still at the IQ level, but very nice. I think that is the future.
Understanding the difference between insight and foresight.
Beautiful, beautiful. This is the first time I heard this beautiful definition. Very nice. So we'll see some insights and we'll see some foresights also today. Very nice. Great. So, I think all these are great answers. There's one more element of intelligence that we missed, which we'll talk about, but I think we covered a lot of it. So to me, there are only 5 things that any intelligent system does. And I'm not just talking about AI. I'm talking about ants and rabbits and humans and traffic patterns. I'm talking about everything, right? So if you think about it, the first thing that an intelligent thing does is its ability to learn from past experience, right? And now we learn how to cross a road in India especially, right? We learn how to walk, how to drive, how to play tabla, how to speak, how to, do presentations. So we learn all this over time, right? With a lot of data, we learn. And similarly, industries are learning how to make Ola, Uber better, how to make Swiggy, Zomato better, how to make Google search better. So we have the ability to learn from data, right? And the infrastructure for that is the AI, but the data feeds it and we are able to learn, right? And learning is a very powerful thing. We'll see what it means. The second thing is comprehension, somebody said, right? The ability to understand what we are seeing, what we are hearing, what we are looking at in the gene sequence, what we are looking at in the video camera, right? Understanding what the raw data is and making sense out of it, right? That is also understanding. So if you are building an autonomous vehicle, you need the ability to learn how to drive. You need the ability to understand from all the cameras, what to do next, right? The third principle is what I call the ability to think. Somebody talked about connecting the dots, for example, right? And that's another important skill. When you're playing a game of chess or having a conversation also, you have a sequence of actions in mind. So we'll talk about why thinking is a very important paradigm in AI and very different from learning and understanding. And the fourth paradigm, who would you call the most intelligent people in society? Who are the most intelligent people in society are what? Are the?
Analyze, evaluate, create.
No, think about society now. Who are considered highly intelligent people? What is the one trait that all highly intelligent people have? Knowledge. Well, GK quiz master is not necessarily intelligent, right? I'm pointing at him.
The innovators?
Innovators. So what is that skill? That is the fourth skill of intelligence called creativity. So all musicians, writers, dancers, the lady who wrote the Harry Potter, all of these people are highly intelligent. The scientists, right, and business innovators, the Steve Jobs of the world. This is the fourth skill in intelligence called creativity. Now, why is this era of AI very interesting? Is now we have reached the fourth stage of intelligence. Up until ChatGPT became popular, we had not reached the stage of intelligence. AI was not able to create music, create art, create language, create images. We were only understanding images but not creating them. We were only analyzing data but not generating something. So the last 5 years, what we have seen is the fourth stage of intelligence called creativity. And why is that important? Because creativity completes the complete intelligent system. So let me give you an example. If you think about humans, if we can only read and understand documents, but we cannot write documents, right? That's why we teach essay writing and all of that, right? If we can listen to music and understand and enjoy, but cannot create music, we are still not complete, right? You understand the idea of understanding is different, but creating is very different, right? And for me, the best, the example of that is, how scientists have created new things, and we'll see what AI will do in the future on the creative front. Today, we think of creativity as what ChatGPT and all these agentic frameworks can do, but creativity is a lot more than that, right? And we'll talk about that. Now, what is the fifth thing that AI systems do, which is scaring the hell out of everyone? What does your teenager do when they have mastered learning, understanding, thinking, and creativity? Where do our teenagers grow? When we grow to a certain age, what do we develop is our idea of the self, right? We become conscious. And then they start asking questions like, why should I do this? Why do I need to study quadratic equations, right? Why can't I just watch Netflix all day long, right? When they start asking that question and they are questioning themselves, what is my purpose? What is my idea of identity? That is when it becomes sentience. We all have gone through that cycle. it's a great time and a very dangerous time, because we know as parents of teenagers, we know that that era is very critical, right? You can go this way or that way. I have already equipped you with all the other skills. Now you are going to decide how to use it yourself, right? And so that is where humanity is with respect to AI. If you think about humanity as a parent, right? We have created the internet, given all the data, compute power and everything, and think of AI as the child. Now AI is reaching teenage. And therefore, there's a lot of regulatory frameworks coming up. People are worried about misuse of AI and all of that, because that's what happens at teenage, right? First, we destroy ourselves, then we create ourselves better. That's what happens with every technology. First, we misuse it, look at Nagasaki, Hiroshima, then we start using it for power generation. Same thing is going to happen with AI. This is a natural evolution, and therefore, this is a very critical time, both very joyful time and a very critical time to think about AI. Yeah? So now, let's talk about a little bit of these 4 principles. What is learning? So if I show you this picture, I don't know if you can see it. What do you see? So you see varieties of letter A. Now, have you seen these A's before? That is the question, right? So why are we able to say that this is an A is not because I have seen an A like this before. What have I done? I have seen other A's before. I have not memorized all the A's that I have seen. What have I done? I have built a model of what A is, what cats are, what dogs are, what cows are. I have built a model. I have not memorized. And that is the big difference in learning and database. So we are not a database system that can, regurgitate based on past data. We build models out of it. We throw the data. None of us have remembered the data that we have seen, but we have models out of that. So that is the principle of learning, and the learning is the art of generalization from what you have seen. So if you can only answer the questions you have been given in the class and not anymore, because you have memorized those, you have not yet learned. You have not generalized. That's why all our exams are about unknown questions, right? We learn the art of generalization. Yeah? So that's the first principle of AI. How do we generalize? And this is very important for survival and everything else, because we are never going to see the same thing again, right? We are never going to experience exactly the same thing again in our life, right? Every commute, again, will be different slightly, right? Family members will be different slightly. Boss will be different slightly every day. So the idea is, we are never going to see exactly the same thing again in life. Therefore, nature designed us not to be a memorization system, but a similarity engine. I have seen this airport, that airport, that airport. Now I'm going to a new airport, I can generalize. I know what all to expect in a new airport, right? This idea of generalization is very powerful. What is understanding? How do we understand things? How do we know this is a conference room? How do we know that that is a traffic jam? How do we understand the world around us? So let me give you a very simple example. If I just show you these 2 red lines, they have no meaning. They are just 2 red lines, right? But suddenly, if I do this, what happens? The meaning of the red lines is now different. Why is it different? Because of the context. And that is the principle of understanding. Whatever we do, we understand a line, we understand a word in a sentence by the context it has, right? I was right to avoid a suit against apple. Apple is not a fruit, and suit is not what you wear in this sentence. Why? Because the context gives the meaning to the content. And this principle is very important, and this is what we use. Our brain is a very important, very beautiful reconciliation system. It reconciles the part and the whole and the whole and the part and the part and the whole back and forth, and therefore we know this is a conference room because these are the right parts inside a conference room, right? And this is a dog, this is a car. We understand because of things coming together in a context, right? And this is a very important foundation principle of all language understanding, speech understanding, vision understanding, video understanding. Because this principle is there, we understand it. The next thing is what is thinking. Let's think about what is thinking. So when I'm doing Google Maps, for example, there are 2 important keywords I will introduce now. One is the idea of the state, right? What is my start state? What is my end state where I want to be? And then what is my current state? So the idea of state in a Google map is the GPS coordinate, and I know that this is where I am. So this is the state thinking is a very important part of AI thinking. How do we think about state of something? Now, state is not enough. What is the next thing we want to do is, if I'm in this state, what is the feasible actions I can take? What are the possible actions I can take? I can go straight, I can go right, I can go left. And this is coming from the map, Google map, right? The roads and the traffic laws. So that is telling me the feasible actions in the current state. And then what is my goal? Is to find the optimal action out of the feasible actions, right? And that is what the framework of thinking is, and we can apply this to any problem, right? Many, many problems are thinking problems. So if you think about how to play a game, tic-tac-toe or whatever, what is the state of the game? Is the current board position. And now, the rules of the game are telling you, these are the possible feasible actions. And if you have played the game many times, you will pick the optimal action in the current state, and then what will happen? You will reach the next state, and you will repeat this whole exercise. This is a very foundation way of thinking about all industries. So if you think about agriculture, right? What is the state of the crop? What is the state of the soil? Right? In this state, what are the feasible actions? I could do watering, pesticide, fertilizer. Which is the optimal action? I need a guidance on that. Education. What is the state of learning of a student? Right? What does he know? What does he not know? And then what are the actions? Oh, you should practice this question more, or you should consume this content, or you are ready to learn the next concept. Right? So understand this state action thinking is a very powerful thing. Same thing in retail, we'll talk about how do you define the state of a customer? He likes certain brands, certain categories, certain colors. And now, what is the action? What ad to show, how to personalize his search, this is the action, right? This is a very, very fundamental framework of how we can create evolving organizations. All we have to do is think in terms of states and actions. Yeah? So, and the fourth stage, creativity, you have seen many examples. This is an old example where we said, hey, start with the first sentence. I was walking in an empty parking lot, and the ending sentence should be, I safely returned home. And we asked ChatGPT to create a story between these two sentences, and it created this very beautiful story. I was walking in an empty parking lot. I saw a suspicious man, turned around, ran fast, could not catch me, safely returned. Now tell me, why did it have to create a negative scenario? Is there something in the prompt, in the hint? Safely. If it said, I quickly returned home, the story would be different. It will say, I caught the cab and I came home, right? Whatever it is, right? So we understand this. Now, here is a question. So there's a big debate going on in the LLM world where we are asking, does LLM actually understand what it is? How do we understand what is a parking lot? Tell me, how do we understand a parking lot? Because we have been to a parking lot. We have experienced parking lots, right? We have horror stories about parking lots. We have had accidents in parking lots, right? So we understand everything through experience. How does ChatGPT understand what's a parking lot? It doesn't understand. It's a token number 543 that occurred after some token 49 followed by 43 followed by this. So imagine if I lock you up in a room and give you a series of tokens and say, memorize this. Generate the next token based on the past 200 or 1,000 tokens. And if you are able to do that with lots of data, lots of compute, lots of parameters, and now you are able to generate these beautiful stories, on the front it looks amazing, fantastic. But what is going on? It doesn't understand what it is saying, right? And I'm sure what Sandy was doing on this side, he was generating amazing sentences. But that person was not understanding what he's saying. It's kind of like, have you heard of these 5-year-olds that are reciting shlokas from Gita? Do they understand what they're saying? Or they have memorized it? So the state of AI is currently there. It is still very fantastic, still very useful, right? The librarian, if you will, what Google search was, had read all the books now, but it doesn't understand anything. It has read all the books, right? So it can tell you the answer directly, that's where we are, and it can generate images and all of that. But the generative part of AI and the understanding of the part of AI are still not connected to each other, right? So there's a lot of work to be done on that, yeah? So the question is now, it can generate all kinds of answers. So let me just play this video. You can just play the video.
When you do next, we'll play.
It'll play? Volume. volume. Oops. I think when I'm doing next,
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
so that raises a lot of very philosophical questions also, right? What is real? So we can criticize AI and saying this is not real, this is just generated. But now let's question ourselves, what is real? Think about it, when you're having a nightmare at night, you're having a nightmare, right? You don't know that you're having a nightmare. But how do you feel? That is what he's asking. It doesn't have to be real. How do you feel is what makes anything real. That's obviously there are two parts to the video, right? This is synthetic, and what he is saying is also very amazing, right? So the idea of reality is being questioned now, and in Indian philosophy, we have already talked about all this is Maya and this is nothing and all that. So now you can relate to all these ideas, and now if you go to AR, VR and say what is real, you can relate to that in the continuum of things, right? So the question now we are asking is, are we there yet? There's a lot of hype that has been created, right? We all know the Gartner hype cycle and all that. And where are we on the hype cycle? Is it done? Are we done with AI? Is this going to just be bigger and more models, and that race is something else coming, right? So I'm going to quote these three fathers of AI, if you will. So Jan LeCun said something very interesting, and he keeps talking about this, right? He recently was visiting India also. And he said, on the path to AGI, LLM is actually an off-ramp. It's a distraction. It's a tool we have created to replace search engines and Photoshop and all of that.